Of course, we begin with our news just in. Of course, the SABC has welcomed the Labour Court's dismissal of Bemawu's application for leave to appeal on earlier judgment in favour of the SABC's handling of the Section 189 process that could see over 300 workers lose their jobs. Bemawu wanted the process to be declared irregular and procedurally unfair, but the court today dismissed its appeal with costs. Joining us now is SABC COO Ian Plaatjes. Sir, thank you very much for joining us here on SA Today.
Thank you, Flo, and good afternoon to the viewers.
All right, let's just take a step back for the sake of our viewers. Of course, part of the argument that was presented by Bemawu on the 2nd of December is that the Section 189 process was irregular. Just remind us what the SABC's team, legal team, said to counter that argument, which the court accepted and, of course, is now being upheld.
Yeah, Flo, our legal team basically just presented the facts, and that was that the process was fair. We went through the process, which was at that point in time facilitated by the CCMA. You will recall that was 7 sessions by the CCMA and in total 16 consultation sessions. Yeah. The court found in our favour then and said that the process was procedurally and substantively fair. The judge went on to say that the process took much longer than what was prescribed by the 60 days and that we should actually conclude the process.
Yeah, just to quote the court, as you mentioned there, as you close your statement, that the court said this whole process must end. But of course, obviously, the SABC would be aware, and indeed SABC senior management like yourselves would be aware that, unions, especially Bemawu in this particular case, are likely to continue to fight, and so will those workers who are indeed affected. What do you say to that, to the fact that, people are saying, look, either way, we want to fight this process?
Yeah, Flo, well, Bemawu appealed the process. The judge once again gave a scathing ruling against them in the appeal process as well. We've always maintained that Bemawu has misrepresented their members and has not been conducting their matters in a fair way in this whole consultation process. They've misled the public for a while. The public can see through that now. They've misled their own members, and their own members are rejecting their call for a strike. They've wasted their members' hard-earned membership fees by appealing and even taking this matter to court where there's no prospects of success. This was a fair process, and everybody knew that.
As you sit, and I suppose in senior management, it is certainly a win for you, what was indeed decided in court today. But at the end of the day, these are people who will ultimately be affected. These are parents, these are people who have, homes, they have mouths to feed and so forth. And I suppose it's not a legal argument for me to put that forward. But, what would you say to the argument that, over the months has been raised and what's been said about the fact that, SABC management has not been caring in this process? I hear you saying it was a fair process, and certainly from a legal perspective and from a legal point of view, I'm sure that you did follow certain guidelines, and in fact the court stipulates that right here. But there certainly should be more to it. I mean, the fact of the matter is that some of these people have spent much of their lives at the SABC, have worked for many, many years for the SABC. So if we can just park the legal aspects of it one side, and I do understand as a COO you do need to dwell on the solid line that has been created in terms of legally this is what's correct and legally this is what we've done. But just if we were to look at it from really from a human level, what would you say?
Yeah, Flo, 100% agree with you. This isn't a victory for us. We always knew that the process was fair. You will recall that when we had the engagement sessions giving the feedback of the CCMA outcome last year, It was the very employees that said to us, but you know what? Our unions have not consulted adequately with us. Please, can you speak to us? We are employees first before we are union members. And through that and the extension request that came from Bemawu, the board allocated additional 30 days, which ended the 31st of December, for us to consult in. During the month of December, we had 28 consultation sessions with the individual divisions, some of the divisions even more than one session. So this is an emotional process for all of us. It's not an easy process. It's not about the win. It's about how we can adequately take the organization to the next level, and through this process, in a humane way, deal with the employees that are impacted.
Yeah. Mr. Plaatjes, just as we close off our conversations, what would some of the options that would be open to some of those employees, those 300 employees? I mean, that's a loss of skill, we have to admit. Those 300 employees that will essentially then be retrenched. Is there a possibility of perhaps being called in, whether it is to freelance here and there? I mean, what are some of the options that you might be able to present to those who would then be retrenched?
Yeah, Flo, it's a potential loss. It's not a loss. There are 170 vacancies, and we are hoping that all the 303, if not all of them, will be applying for those vacancies, and in so doing, we will be able to retain the needed skills. We have determined an optimal structure, and we need to fill that optimal structure with skilled resources. We certainly have that internally to the organization, and we're convinced that those people will be applying for those positions. Yes, for some of the colleagues, there will be the opportunity of being considered for freelance contracts as well, and we certainly want to encourage that too.
All right, Mr. Ian Plaatjes, thank you very much for your time, sir. And that's our COO here at SABC News reacting to the Labour Court dismissal of Bemawu's application for leave to appeal an earlier judgment regarding 300 staff to be retrenched.